The cave was wrapped in silence, the crackling fire the only sound echoing through its stone walls. Daniel and Ino sat close, their bodies shivering from the night's biting cold. The firelight danced on their faces, making their eyes gleam like molten gold. For hours, they had fought to survive, chased by shadows of the jungle, unsure of what lurked in the darkness. But now, as the warmth of the fire wrapped around them, another kind of heat began to rise. Ino hugged her knees to her chest, her long black ponytail slipping over her shoulder. Daniel watched her silently, his breath catching at how fragile yet fearless she looked. The faint glow lit her skin, and every flicker of flame seemed to paint her in shades of beauty he hadn't noticed before. She looked up, catching his gaze. Neither of them looked away. The silence between them shifted, growing heavy, charged with something more than fear, something deeper. Daniel reached out, hesitating for a moment before brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. His touch lingered. Ino's lips parted slightly, her heartbeat echoing in her chest. The fire cracked. She leaned in. Their foreheads touched first, gentle, unsure. Then their lips met in a slow, trembling kiss. It was soft at first, a fragile connection born out of desperation, but as seconds passed, it grew, fiery, urgent, like the jungle itself had set them alight. Ino's hands clutched at Daniel's shirt, pulling him closer. His arms wrapped around her, shielding her from the cold as if she was the only warmth he ever needed. The kiss deepened, their breaths mingling, their hearts racing faster than when they had run from the beasts of the forest. The fire painted their silhouettes on the cave wall, two souls pressed together, breaking the silence of loneliness with the sound of passion. Ino whispered his name against his lips, her voice trembling, sweet, almost pleading. Daniel kissed her again, softer this time, his thumb caressing her jaw as though she might vanish if he let go. Every moment stretched longer, every glance turned heavier. They weren't just two people lost in a jungle anymore. They were two hearts finding each other in the wild, in danger, in chaos, in desire. The night outside grew colder, but inside the cave, heat surged like a storm. They held on to each other, exploring closeness they didn't know they craved, each kiss making the world outside fade into nothing. And as the flames burned low, so did their resistance. The jungle might have been merciless, but in that cave, under firelight, Daniel and Ino found a new kind of survival, one that wasn't about fighting the wild, but surrendering to it. The night was quiet, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves as the wind stirred through the jungle around them. The shadows of the trees danced across their faces, but neither Daniel nor Ino noticed. They were lost in each other. Daniel cupped her face gently, his thumb tracing the curve of her cheek before he leaned in. His lips brushed hers, first a whisper, then a firmer press, until Ino melted against him. Every kiss seemed to draw them deeper into a world where nothing else mattered. He pulled back for only a breath, only long enough to kiss the corner of her mouth, her jawline, and then the curve of her neck where her pulse raced wildly. Ino gasped softly, her fingers tightening around his arm as his lips trailed down, kissing her skin as though each touch was sacred. He kissed her forehead with aching tenderness, then returned to her lips again, stealing another breathless moment before lowering his mouth across her throat, lingering at her collarbone. The warmth of his breath sent shivers racing down her spine. Her white shirt slipped loose at the shoulder, the fabric sliding down as if the night itself conspired to bring them closer. Daniel's hand trembled as it brushed the edge of the cloth, his fingers skimming lightly over her skin. He pressed his lips to the newly revealed place, gentle but burning with intensity, as though each kiss was a secret he had waited his whole life to speak. Ino's heartbeat pounded in her ears. She closed her eyes as his mouth wandered lower, feathering soft kisses across the rise of her chest, then downward in slow devotion. Each kiss seemed to ask a question, and her every trembling breath was an answer. She whispered his name, broken, almost pleading, her voice caught between surrender and longing. Daniel paused, lifting his eyes to hers. They were stormy, full of hunger, but softened by something far deeper, something she had always hoped to see. He leaned forward again, this time kissing the hollow of her collarbone, then moving lower, tracing a path across her stomach where the hem of her shirt lifted. Ino gasped again, arching into his touch as his hands anchored her against him. Everywhere he kissed, she felt marked, not with possession, but with promise. His lips moved slowly, almost reverently, as if he were memorizing every inch of her. When he returned to her lips at last, she clung to him, her hands tangling in his hair as if she could keep him there forever. The world around them seemed to vanish, replaced by the rhythm of their breathing, the press of their bodies, and the fire building between them. Ino's shirt slipped further, revealing more of her, but she didn't pull away. She let it happen, lost in the spell of his devotion. Daniel kissed the newly bared skin with a gentleness that contrasted with the storm in his eyes, and she felt a shiver that was equal parts fear and joy. They held each other there in the heart of the jungle, wrapped in shadows and moonlight, their kiss